What's happening? What's up, everybody? My name's Mark. This is my YouTube channel called Ethereal Obelisk. This is my first video. This is an introduction video. I'm going to go over a few things, primarily myself, a little history about myself, where I'm from, how I got to where I'm at now, etc. So I'll go over that in a minute. I'm going to go over some topics that I want to discuss for future videos. And first and foremost, I want to talk about just the mission statement of this channel, which is basically just a channel dedicated to complete honesty and transparency, discussing issues and dilemmas that young men in their 20s and 30s face. I'll be going into depth in different videos about stories about what I've done, the mistakes I've made, the successes I've had, and hopefully they'll segue into discussing certain topics and creating some meaningful dialogue between people in the comment section and myself, so we can, share stories and share how we overcame certain obstacles and how we, in moments of weakness, how we overcame moments of weakness. So let me start it off by just giving a little history of myself, a little bio, if you will. I live in Ohio. I live in Akron, Ohio now. I grew up about a half hour south in a place called North Canton, Ohio, which is home to the Football Hall of Fame. That's its claim to fame. So I grew up there in a two-parent household with one brother. I was an average to below average student in school, in middle school and high school. I squeaked by with like a 2.4 average or something ridiculously bad like that. Just didn't apply myself. Didn't like the format of the school I was in. It was just class. I guess every high school is like that. But just no breaks, just class. Being an ADHD kid, severe ADHD, just didn't work for me. I needed breaks. I needed time to process the information. And we just didn't get that at my school. I guess really not many schools offer that, unless it's some type of, private school or Montessori school or something. But they didn't really offer that. Didn't do well. I was a little discouraged, but I ended up getting into a local college. Went there for like a year. Did pretty good. Good enough to get into another school, which was about 2.5 hours west of here, called Bowling Green, still in Ohio, where a lot of my friends were at. I ended up going there, getting accepted. Studied psychology, studied film studies, studied partying. Pretty much all I did there was, I did enough to do well. I graduated with like a 3.2 average. But, most of it was socializing, partying, figuring out who I was, stuff like that. So I'll go into that more in future videos. But, I did graduate after 5 years. I moved back home. It was a tough transition, leaving all my friends, and moved back home. I made a big mistake by jumping right into grad school. I went to Kent State, which is about a half hour away from where I'm at now. Jumped right into a subject in psychology, into community counseling and school counseling. Not sure why I did it. I guess because my mom was in the education field. She was a teacher, a special ed teacher and first grade teacher. Guess I kind of wanted to follow the footsteps. She had summers off, so I figured it might be a good idea. I ended up finishing it, but I never really got into it. I was never passionate about it. Too much paperwork, too much scheduling, not enough working one-on-one with people, which is what I primarily wanted to do with my degree. So, didn't work out. Did graduate, but I ended up somehow, maybe because my mom was in special ed, somehow got a job with the Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities. Actually got independently licensed to work with young men who have disabilities. Have been doing it ever since. It's a good job. I'm an independent contractor, basically, licensed through the state. Work with young men. Basically, the goal of my job is to help these guys become as independent as they possibly can. Whether that's getting them a local community job, getting them in some type of supported employment job, getting them in a group home, getting them involved in activities in the community, getting them to socialize, getting them athletic activities like Special Olympics, getting them to make new friends, getting them to figure out how to use the bus line, getting, just a variety of topics. But that's what I do. Being a job coach, that's basically what I do, and have been doing. I think I have about 12 guys now that I work with. You get with each one, work with them a few hours a week, have a consistent schedule. I've had some guys for years. Job has its challenges like every job, but I don't have a boss really. I have people to answer to, but I work with these guys independently. I get compliance reviews and audited and all that stuff, but I work with these guys independently. Independent contractors, billable hours. So I work with these guys, try and improve the quality of their life, make them as independent as they can be. So it's intrinsically rewarding. It can test your patience. I'll go into more depth in that in some future videos about some stories with certain guys that, went overboard with me in terms of calling me or just showing up or, going off on me. So it'll test your patience, but it's not unlike other jobs. It's got its ups and downs. To me, it's super rewarding. To me, it's all about forming good relationships, which is the key and the base to the whole job. Is you form a good relationship, they trust you, you get good work done, get them to reach their full potential. That's the goal. So I've been doing that for a while. That's my main job. I have a part-time job, a side hustle, if you will, flipping clothes on eBay. I do graphic t-shirts, like vintage clothing, sell it on, buy it cheap, resell it for a profit. I have about 450 things. My store online is called Cellar Door Emporium. I sell all graphic tees, sports shirts, movie shirts, music shirts, all that stuff. So I've been doing that for years. I did it in college, took a break for a while, and then restarted it like 3 years ago. I enjoy the hunt. I enjoy looking around for cool stuff and then reselling it. It's fun to me, and it makes decent money. It's a good side job. So I do that as well. So I work those. Those are my two primary jobs. So now I'm just basically working and just living life. This is going to segue into some of the topics I want to discuss. And like I said, the mission statement of this channel is to be completely transparent and honest about, mistakes I've made, issues I've encountered, all that stuff, and just create various topics, kind of relaying what I went through and, the ramifications of mistakes, what I learned, and some of the techniques I used to help improve my life. So the goal is to create dialogue, get a discussion going with other people. Everybody can contribute. That's my goal. Not into it for a big following. I just want a, small group of guys that can talk about some of these issues and not be embarrassed about it, and, work together to find solutions. That's the key. Modern young man faces a lot of obstacles nowadays, a lot of complicated obstacles in life. It's just a lot that isn't talked about. So that's the primary goal of this channel. Some of the topics that I'm going to discuss are relationships. That'll probably be one of the first ones I talk about. Just went through a breakup, so rough times. But with some hindsight, it hasn't been too long, it's been fairly recent, but with some hindsight, I'm grateful and thankful for a lot of things that happened, and I learned a lot. Learned to let go and learn to appreciate the good things and let go of the bad things. So I think my first video is going to be more or less about that, go into some depth about the relationship, and then what I learned and how I coped with dealing with the breakup and all that. That's going to be one of the first videos, relationships, but there'll be other videos on friendships, family relationships, all that type of stuff. I want to do videos on all that because I've had it all. Abandonment issues with my dad. I've had, a great relationship with my mom and my brother. Great friendships that were great that went toxic. I've had it all, as I'm sure a lot of people have. You live and you learn, but I want to relay some of this to you guys to hopefully create some meaningful discussions. So yeah, relationships are huge. I'm gonna probably start with that in my next video, and then some of the self-discipline practices that I've incorporated into my life, such as doing meditation and yoga almost every day, exercising, working on my budgeting, working on impulse control, stuff like that, doing no fap, which has been huge in my life, doing retention, which has been huge in my life. I'm going to go into more depth about those things in future videos, but there's a lot of information about that out there. But in my channel, I want to relate it to specific experiences and just not so much explain all the benefits with, you know, all this other stuff like attracting people and all that, but just talk about the benefits it has within you, at least for me, and how it trickled into all these other areas of my life for each benefit, like for each self-discipline. I mean, like yoga or meditation. You know, I had two-dimensional thinking going in. You know, I just thought, oh, meditation's this, or oh, yoga's this, or oh, no fap is this, or oh, retention's this. There's so much more than that, and they trickle into so many other areas of your life. It's kind of hard to believe. So I'm going to go in depth into that in future videos. The next topic I want to do is addictions. I've struggled with a lot of addictions in my life, a lot of addictions. My dad had a real addictive personality. I do too. Something that I'm cognizant of now. I've gone through a lot of pain and a lot of struggles through addictions, whether it be substance abuse. You know, I've been sober for a year now. Alcohol was never really an issue for me, but everything under the sun I seem to be addicted to at one point or another, whether it's video games or sex or, you know, drugs, whatever it might be. I feel like I've been addicted to all of that stuff at one point or another. It was a hard road, but I want to go through some stories and how I got to where I'm at today, from where I was to where I'm at. So addictions are huge. I want to get into that later in future videos. Definitely want to get into some mental health stuff. I've dealt with depression, I've dealt with anxiety, social anxiety, I've dealt with just generalized anxiety, I've dealt with having obsessive compulsive tendencies, impulse control, all that stuff. I want to get into that in more detail and do some stories in future videos, so we'll get into that and how I've dealt with it and tried to work through it. Also, disabilities. You know, I work with people with disabilities. I have ADHD. Actually got a big part of my college paid for through the Bureau of Vocational Rehabilitation because I had ADHD. I want to go into more detail about disabilities, Asperger's, autism, traumatic brain injuries, you know, Down syndrome, all that stuff. I've worked with a lot of young men that have those disabilities, and I just want to discuss it a little bit more in future videos, just what I've seen, the guys I've worked with, myself, what I've been through, and kind of relay some information over to you guys and create hopefully some good discussion. So that's going to be a big topic. And then other topics will kind of, you know, branch off from there. I was thinking about things like discussing my side job, my eBay, how I did that, discussing all my passions and hobbies, I'm a cinephile, I'm a big time movie fan, big time, I collect movies, I collect vinyl, I'm a collector of a lot of different things. I'm a big pop culture junkie, so talking about different films and different music and how that changed my life, maybe for the better, maybe for the worse. But I'm going to go into that in more detail later. And other topics will come up, so if there's anything you guys think would be a good topic to discuss, just put it in the comments section, we'll talk about it. But that's basically it for the intro video. I'm going to do another video soon about the relationship, and hopefully some of you guys can relate to the breakup and kind of tell me what you went through, and I'm going to end the video there. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video. Bye.